it's Jessica with Rabbit's Pantry. Ever wonder why anxiety attacks come on for no reason sometimes? Yeah, right? This could be more than just in your head. So forever, it's been like, oh, it's in your head and you can control it. Well, there's some new studies. And anxiety is serious, okay? As I'm sitting here giggling through it, but it really is. So anxiety is acute. It can be acute, frequent, and persistent. It's really not good. It totally adversely affects the whole quality of your life. In fact, experts estimate that the anxiety disorder affects around 264 million people worldwide. That's a lot of freaking people. And it's not uncommon, right? Like so many people are like, oh, my anxiety, my anxiety. And it's continuing. Well, so are some other things, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I'll get to that too. But, um, anti-anxiety medications, which typically target the central nervous system, can be helpful. Like they work for some people, but they often don't work permanently. Okay. And then for some people, they don't work at all. A new study released in just this September, like literally right now, suggests that anxiety disorders can be from malfunctioning in the body's endocrine system. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, there was a video we did not too long ago on thyroid disorders. And I was like, this is huge. To me, this is huge. Okay. So, this is from the inflammatory effects of your endocrine system, which is where your thyroid is. So, as we all know, I have a difficult time pronouncing things. So, we're going to call the lady Julia. I can't pronounce her last name, but she did a study in the clinical hospital in Ukraine. Or she had a whole team with her, obviously, but this is what she said. These findings indicate that the endocrine system may play an important role in anxiety. Okay. But doctors should also consider the thyroid gland and the rest of the system as well as the nervous system when examining people with anxiety. The thyroid gland, and I was like, yeah. The thyroid gland produces two important hormones, right? We talked about these before. It's the T4 and the T3. So both of these help maintain heart and muscle function, digestion, brain development, bone health, right? It was like, so many of you were like, do you have a tea for that? And don't you worry. Yes, I am making one. It's being tested right now. One was gross, so that's not going to work. So I'm working on another one. Anyways, so the T4 and T3 help produce and regulate the hormones of of your adrenaline and your dopamine. So the adrenaline is sometimes known as the fight or flight hormone, right? And it's associated with like these bursts of energy. And dopamine is obviously the pleasure part of our brain. We can have too much or too little, and it affects our judgment and our quality of life. The inflammation of the thyroid gland typically happens when the body mistakenly goes after it and like starts attacking it. Okay. And this is what we were talking about previously. Like you can have high levels or low levels of these hormones being released by your thyroid. When this happens, your body produces antibodies that attack the gland, and these antibodies damage the thyroid and cause it to malfunction. Okay. So Julia's study it was a small study. Okay. And I'll also say that, well, I'll get to that anyways. So it's 29 men, 27 women. Their average ages were 33 to 31 years. And the doctors had diagnosed them already with anxiety, and they were experiencing anxiety attacks. So they found that these patients had signs of inflammation and thyroid antibodies. Okay. So even with inflamed thyroids, they weren't malfunctioning thyroids. And their T4 and T3 levels were slightly elevated, but again, within normal range. So these are not things that would come up as red flags in normal testing. So I thought this was kind of interesting because a lot of people like will go to their naturopath or their doctor for thyroids or like having thyroid symptoms, and they'll get checked. And a lot of times they have anxiety too. And so this is nothing that's going to be a flag. However, it's obvious that these things are a flag for anxiety. So they found that the patients, um, after getting treatment for inflammation, which is interesting, right? They were treated for inflammation because their thyroid glands were inflamed. Well, they found they had improved anxiety. And so I was like, well, that's interesting. And literally, some of this inflammation study was like an Advil, right? Or whatever, like it was an over the counter drug. And this is great news because historically it's all been targeted to the nervous system. And there's only so much you can do there. And it does help, right? But now, if this is something where it's like, oh, well, if it's an imbalance in the thyroid, we already know we have a little more control over what we can do with the thyroid, which is awesome. Because if this is the circumstances where you have this ongoing anxiety problem, and you've been told that it's in your nervous system or it's in your head and you need to do all these other things to like change your life and relieve it. And I'm saying all this from my own personal experience. I actually have an abnormal functioning, not misfunctioning, whatever. My thyroid is normal. I just had all these tests done recently. It's normal, but it's kind of elevated and it's kind of off. And I had the ultrasound done and I had the blood work done. And they're like, yeah, it's inflamed, but it's not bad. Yeah, your levels are off, but they're not bad. And thyroid disorder runs in my family really strong. And I've had it like go wacko and then come back in and off and on all my life. And so sometimes it's treated and sometimes it's not, right? And then I was like, well, for the last 2 years, I've had like crazy anxiety. And I thought it was because I was just working so much because I love what I do and I just keep working. And now I'm reading this report and I'm like, well, I'm going to go back and look at my test results now and be like, maybe that's what it is. But so maybe I'm just going to add some disjointed tea to, like, I drink disjointed now, but maybe I need more of it because I don't like taking over the counter prescriptions. And I do take my fibro blend, which is really good for helping with the migraines and other things that you get from these types of inflammations. But I was like, this is crazy. So, yeah, you can totally try this and see if it works for you. I will tell you, there have been there's been no peer reviews on this. There have been no medical journals on this. This just came out. Like this is hot off the press from the doctor's mouth. They released it actually in a conference. So it was just really cool information when I sat and I was like, I have to share this. I was just like, and so many of you were involved in the thyroid video that we did. I thought, well, I better share this with you too. Because when you have an anxiety attack and you're like, okay, it's in my head. I need to calm down. I need to talk myself down. Did I drink my tea? Did I do my yoga this morning? What in this situation is causing me to get worked up? Because my nervous system, right? But now that you know that sometimes when you just have your anxiety attack and you're like, what the frick? Like I'm literally indulging in my moment right now. Why am I having an anxiety attack? And you spend like the next 15 minutes trying to figure out why you're having an anxiety attack, which doesn't make your anxiety attack any better because now you're like, oh my God, look at all the things I pointed out that could have given me an anxiety attack. Or you have a moment where you're just like, there's nothing that could have given me this anxiety attack at all. I have no idea why this is happening. It literally could be a mild imbalance. I definitely would suggest trying the disjointed tea. It's really good for an anti-inflammatory. In fact, it's quite amazing. Green tea is really good for inflammation. There's tons of herbs. Like I could list so many herbs that are anti-inflammatory. But I definitely would suggest doing something like that and seeing how that works for you. There's a lot of other options as well. Have at it. Just see if it works and if that inflammation going away is an improvement of your life. Anyways, I'll stop going on about this. I just thought it was fantastic and really wanted to share it. Have a fantastic day. Thank you for watching. Make sure you share and like, and I'll keep you posted on the thyroid tea. Take care. Bye.